It's crunch time on the jump. James Wiseman making his college debut tonight. Jonathan Givony projecting him as the #1 overall pick in next year's draft.
By the way,
this game available on the ESPN app.
My guy, my inspiration right there.
I looked at some odds the casinos are putting out. Wiseman is less than even money as the #1 pick. So they really think he will be. LaMelo is 6-1.
I just want to see what my boy Penny going to do with all that talent he has.
Man, he worked hard recruiting last year. You saw him out with Mike Miller, remember?
Yeah.
And he's got a team.
Should be a great year for him.
Let's move on. Jae Crowder throwing everything he had at James Harden last night. Now,
James Harden throwing everything he has.
It's funny you mention that. We're going to show that because Harden has still had 44 points and got in this little low blow on Crowder. You can see him react.
Harden objected to the call.
Now, Harden, right. So Harden receives the flagrant for this, but Crowder gets ejected for his reaction afterward, which you will also see. Right, look here, he follows him up, kind of tries to come at him.
Ejection, come on.
Extenuating circumstances.
Really? That's an ejection, really?
Well, my guess is that just this week we had a fight with actual punches between two
It's justified.
NBA
Let me see how the ref act when one of them hit. This is family TV, guys.
Right, there we go. We showed a clip late last week of Paul Pierce accidentally hitting a ref in the face, so it does happen. NBA suspending John Collins for 25 games. The Hawks big man testing positive for growth hormone. In a statement, Collins said he plans to appeal. Mind you, he is the second young star to be flagged in less than 2 weeks. DeAndre Ayton also suspended for a diuretic, which is typically used as a masking agent. So he also, by the way, said he was appealing. Brian, how surprising is it to see 2 of these in a span of 2 weeks?
Yeah, not only that, but we also have another player, Wilson Chandler, under suspension. One of two things are happening here. Either we have an uptick in PEDs, or we have players that are going to people and giving them things who are not trustworthy. Yeah. Either is bad.
I'm disappointed in him because of, the young talent that the Hawks have. He was playing great basketball. Trae Young is coming back now, and now he's out for 25 games.
The thing about it is the one thing about John Collins people say is that he does need to gain bulk, that his incredible athleticism, but he can sometimes get pushed around on defense. And this drug, from what I've read, I'm not an expert, is helped use to build weight. Now, he has said he took it in air, but and DeAndre Ayton has been accused of the same thing, that he needs to build weight.
Right.
So these guys, even if they weren't purposely cheating, if they didn't purposely say, that's a growth hormone, take that, they are trusting people to give them things that are clearly untrustworthy. So I think throughout the entire league, if you're any player, but especially a young player, you are reevaluating who you trust and what you're taking today. Start now.
Clear that through the league before you put it in your body.
Absolutely. All right, speaking of the Hawks, I want to get to our League Pass game of the night. It is, in fact, Spurs at Hawks. Trae Young expected to make his return tonight. He was averaging 34 points in his first 3 games before his ankle injury last week. I think the Hawks very grateful it wasn't worse than it was. It looked pretty bad at the time. San Antonio was a 3-point favorite. Now they're a 5.5-point favorite. Yes, Trae Young's coming back, but after that John Collins news broke, the odds went up for San Antonio. So, Mac, do you think that Trae is going to be able to just pick up where he left off, or take a game or so to get back in?
No, he missed 2 games. He's going to be fine. I mean, the 4 games that he's played, he's averaged 27, 50% from 3. That's not going to change. I expect him to come back and pick right back where he left off.
Well, for all you fantasy players out there, Jabari Parker is the guy who's going to probably benefit the most. But Jabari Parker is not the pick-and-roll player that Collins is with Trae Young. So this is a cascading effect down the Hawks lineup, and I was bullish on the Hawks to start the season.
That is an understatement. You have been the Hawks spokesman for the last couple of weeks.
And this is it's going to affect their watchability from a fan standpoint. It's going to affect their depth. It's going to affect their playmaking. Big bummer.
Come on, John.
He will hopefully learn from this experience. Speaking of watchable, Brandon Ingram had a career-high 40 points, even though the Pelicans did lose to the Nets. Ingram, remember, the #2 overall pick in the 2016 draft. He's clearly had flashes for the Lakers and was sort of the prime jewel, along with that draft pick, in the trade to the Pelicans. But now, right, people are saying this is the Brandon Ingram that we expected. There were doubts, right, after that blood clot issue in March. Do you think that the Pelicans are going to regret not extending him?
So from what I understand, Rachel, from what I've been told, there wasn't even really significant talks about it. I think both sides realized now is not the time to make a deal because of that blood clot. If he has a season where he plays very well and doesn't have another health concern, next summer, the teams that have salary cap space are teams that want young players. The Hawks, the Grizzlies, the Cavs, the Bulls. It's one of the reasons why the Celtics gave Jaylen Brown so much money. They were worried about an offer sheet. So but they still have his matching rights and stuff like that. What's helped him, though, and I think this hurt him with the LeBron Lakers, he needs the ball in his hands. He's a playmaker to have the ball in his hands. There's no Zion to take the touches. Most of their offenses go down and give him the ball and get out of the way. I do think he can thrive in that kind of environment.
No, I think they should have signed this kid. Being that he's, KD-like kind of game, slim build, can shoot the ball.
Always been a great scorer.
He's in his 4th year, and I expected to see this player. Like, typically, a guy coming into his 4th year, you know who they are, right? So he's showing me who he is. Me, when I was in Toronto for my first 3 years, after my 4th year, I went from averaging 15 to averaging 27. Why? Because the load was bigger, my role was bigger. I had greater opportunity. And the same with him. Zion is out, he has greater opportunity, and he's showing what he could do. So I think if he could continue to average 26 on the season, do not let this walk out of the door.
No, and they do have matching rights, as you said. He's going to be a restricted free agent. Those numbers are pretty great to see. That is the kind of growth you want. The blood clot thing, I get why it was scary. There was a question about whether the Lakers could even pull off a trade that included him, because you see the example of Chris Bosh as the most recent thing.
And one of the reasons it's scary,
he came back and had an all-star level season the next season, and then
you can't get insurance on the deal. That's what's scary, I think.
Oh,
for teams.
Yeah, I understand that then.
Because that's what happened with Chris Bosh. Remember, they had insurance.
Right.
They were able to withstand that a little bit.
Right, absolutely. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.